The soccer stadium still hangs in the balance.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
My heavens, so many things going on, so many things going on. Tonight we're going to take another look at what is kind of this middle chapter of the review of the Pawtucket development known as Tidewater Landing, the soccer stadium. We've actually talked about it at various junctures in this television show weekly now for the last month or so. We had Pawtucket Mayor Grebian on as recently as a couple of weeks ago. Tim White, in my conversation with him last week, we touched base on it and kind of talked about it from a media and journalistic analytical point of view. There's so many things happening in the world right now as we speak. As we record the show on Thursday at 10 of 1, you put your stuff down, will you? I can't take you anywhere. I was about to tell you, could you lean back? You know, these Commerce Corporation guys, they throw their weight around this state like it's going out of style. It's not a big set. You know, then at VIBCO in Wyoming, Rhode Island, they got this, you know, everything is high tech and everything is energy efficient and everything is blah, blah, blah. Here, it's just my little set, my little show. And he comes in here, he's throwing his stuff all over the place. Wait till you meet him. It's not like the first time you've met him either, so it's probably expected by the entire state of Rhode Island. Anyway, what I was going to say, before we start messing around over here, is that the Supreme Court of the United States of America just issued a really interesting decision, 6-3, that kind of really puts a little bit of a what into even some of the Rhode Island laws on concealed carry permits. Whereas there is some discretion that authorities in Rhode Island use to determine whether you really need one or not, the Supreme Court has decided that that is not something that they should be worrying about. As long as you do not have a specific concern that you've raised via your behavior, or that you're using, or that you'll have the weapon on you in places where in general it's prohibited, you're pretty well free to ask for and receive a concealed carry permit. It was a New York case, but it has implications for Rhode Island. And ironically, with all of the hoopla, and it was way too much hoopla, by the way, our General Assembly members who are partying over the idea that they passed 3 gun safety bills pay lip service to the idea that they know why they made that progress, but those lives lost in Uvalde need to, I think, be respected by tone of celebration of gun legislation being passed. The backslapping and the mutual thank yous and the aren't we great disposition on the part of our legislature and the echo chamber in which they operate seems to never end. It's disturbing. And by the way, I supported the bills. I just don't support the self-congratulatory nature of the folks who passed them. By the way, they have jobs. You have jobs to deliberate. You have jobs to debate. You're elected and paid to do those jobs. Nobody, when I leave, Stacy, my producer, when I'm done, and Carl, when you meet him, when I'm done, doesn't at the end of our show, when I say goodnight, say, hey, Dan, that was incredible. That was incredible. What an incredible job you just did. Thank God you're here weeknights, or whatever I'm here now. Friday nights on Fox and Sunday nights on Channel 12 and weekdays on WPRI. You're the best. It's like, no, it's my job. All right, now that I got him calmed down, let me play the package that I think is inspiring. We played this actually a week or two ago. It's the latest that we have in the development of the State Commerce Board. You see that hand? He's still taking notes. You're still in my shot. You're still in my shot. Sit there. Don't pull the wire out. Roll it.
The Tidewater Landing talks continue. The proposed Pawtucket project coming with a $344 million price tag. The developer's Fortuitous Partners blames inflation and supply chain issues for a recent hike in the cost, something they're hoping the city and state can help with.
We're not going to get any of this done overnight, but you got to start to get it done.
The developers are seeking $30 million in funding, split between Pawtucket and the state. That's where the state's Commerce Board comes in, meeting Tuesday to discuss the possibility of putting more state funding toward the proposed soccer stadium. Many raising questions like, what happens if the stadium isn't successful? And are we sure this is the best deal for Rhode Islanders?
I think that what's in front of us right now is a decision, do we want to build the stadium? I believe that we have the ability to do that.
After 2 hours of executive session, the governor's office says no votes were taken. There appears to be mixed reaction from board members, with a majority of them asking Commerce to continue negotiating and get more answers from the developers.
All right. All right, put them on, Matt. You okay? Are you all right?
How are you? Good to see you.
Stop messing with my visuals. You might be the only public figure I can get away with this with, you know?
I have big shoulders, and I take it in the spirit of continuous improvement to make Karl better. Helping Karl be better, don't hog the show.
Karl Wadensten is my guest. He's a longtime member of the Commerce Board, formerly the Economic Development Corporation, and I always tell you this, not because it means necessarily anything to this, I don't know where I am, to this particular conversation, but you are the only member of the board back then that voted against 38 Studios. And I say that simply I've always thought it gives you stature. It reflects on, I think, your courage in terms of stepping up against a lot of momentum back then. And now you're in a deliberative situation where you have to figure out what to do with the soccer stadium. So welcome, my friend. Can we, before we get into a lot of the machinations of this whole thing, would you agree with me that other than commerce, the growth of economic development, and a public-private partnership, there really isn't much comparison between 38 Studios and this project? No. Yet this is the kind of stuff on social media, and even some journalists have been, and some politicians have been, you know, sowing the seeds of doubt in the confidence of institutions and bureaucracy making good decisions.
Yeah, and one big difference is the Commerce Secretariat, that was a position initiated after 38 Studios, and the way that we give out funds for any kind of deal that comes across Commerce, especially a TIF that we're talking about now, is after certificate of occupancy, where the payout in the other deal was incremental and some benchmarks that were laid out. Totally different. It's a totally different world. Yeah. So I have confidence in what the process is now with Commerce Board.
Yeah, one of the things at 38 Studios, and that $75 million debacle with Curt Schilling and the like for what was a media, computer games business. One of the most confounding things, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to look at what was passed back then, and the incentive was, as long as you're spending more money, we'll give you more money.
Correct. Wrong metrics. Wrong metrics.
I just, you know, I've owned a business. You are, you know, the CEO of your own incredible business, VIBCO, which makes vibrating parts for manufacturers in Wyoming, Rhode Island. I don't know what financing you'd be able to obtain on the metric of as long as you're spending a lot of money, we'll give you a lot of money. Sometimes the bankers kind of think, well, are you making any money? Are you profiting? Are you in the black? Are there, or show me how you're going to get there. So anyway, that was then, this is now.
But one piece that still stands true today for the Commerce Board is that we have a fiduciary responsibility if we give money, even after certificate of occupancy, and put money into a deal, we have to make sure that that deal can come to fruition of spending this money, of appropriating this money. So we have a fiduciary responsibility. If we think there's a gap that still is not closed, it falls back on our shoulders. That's our job.
Okay. When we come back, we'll get into the nitty-gritties on this thing as much as we possibly can. Stay with us.
What it means to Pawtucket, what it means to the state, and it's more than just a stadium, right? And I think that's where the urgency comes into, is saying, hey, as all these other things are happening around us, let's not forget about Pawtucket and invest in the Blackstone Valley.
Emotional play that the mayor, Don Grebian, is using on the soccer stadium is effective. The nuts and bolts and the finances of this thing and the diligence of this thing we need to get into. But you've actually caught on to some of that emotion, and I'm told that it's your initiative that is causing a site inspection next week.
Yeah.
You feel that the board itself, the Commerce Board, which has 12 members by statute and has 10 sitting on it right now, and there are 2 members that may actually be, there may be an addition, those vacancies may be filled by the time that you next vote on this thing. And there's a new director coming in, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But as a longtime equity member of the Commerce Board, I should say legacy member, you are asking for what? Everyone to show up in Pawtucket and feel the ground?
Well,
some people might say you haven't done that anyway?
Well, things move slow in state government. This is really a big first, right? I want the governor, the full board, the mayor, his city council. I'd love to have the House leader and the Senate leader come with us, because I go to construction sites all the time. That Blackstone River Valley there is so beautiful that I think people need to understand the vision of what Pawtucket can be, what the future of Pawtucket can be, and go see the site, walk the site, ask questions. We want the developer there, we want his people there to just go and see what this is all about. What does the build out look like?
So you have a full commerce meeting. You have a legal commerce meeting on the road.
Yes.
You're asking the entire board to come.
Yes. Then it's.
Do you expect the entire board to come?
I think they will.
Okay.
I'm a good cheerleader, because it's important to see it. And Dan, until you go see something and actually go do it, I mean, you announce for athletic games and things throughout the state. You can't announce unless you're there. You can't have the passion unless you see it. Well, you got to go see this site and what's being done there.
All right. So, if talking in concept now.
Yes.
If this is a hairline decision financially for the board, and I think it is in some ways. Others may disagree. I think it's all about intuition, confidence, history of Rhode Island, living up to its financial commitments. The outgoing Commerce Secretary, Stefan Pryor, is all about that Rhode Island has a history of doing what it needs to do on these economic development plans, so the investors should be confident about a hole that still exists that we'll talk about in a second. But given that this is a tight call, being on site, you think, moves a vote or two? And are you lobbying your own members by asking for this on-site?
No, the on-site just gives scope of the project, because this project's being done in 2 phases. Phase 1,
which is the stadium.
Which is the stadium.
And then across the river is called B, which is the whole economic development stuff.
You know, it's gonna, hopefully it raises more questions from the board members to do their fiduciary responsibility. Hopefully it answers some questions of scope of what this looks like. Hopefully the mayor talks about what this looks like, because 1B will be significantly more money than 1A.
Listen, there's a lot of detail in this whole deal.
Yes.
But I'm gonna narrow this down as much as I possibly can. The Fortuitous Group, which is the investor in this soccer stadium, was going to put in $20 million in the original call. The inflation and delays have caused this new revised model more expensive. They're putting another $20 million, and they're adding some banking debt. So they're certainly not asking for a free ride. They're definitely stepping up. What also is going to happen is that this thing called the TIF, which I've explained in previous shows and on the radio, which is called the Tax Incremental Finance Program, which is to take the geographic area around the soccer stadium, mostly the city of Pawtucket, and the restaurants and whatever, the dry cleaners and everybody else that are doing business and paying sales tax to the state, have that sales tax redirected inside that geographic area for the express purpose of helping to finance the TIF. The city of Pawtucket borrows money in order to pay for the construction of the stadium on the revenue projected from that TIF to pay it over time.
Right.
And what is the city is asked, and the ask of Commerce here is, we need to grow the TIF, meaning a bigger cut needs to come to that because of the larger expense of the deal. Mm-hmm. And what the governor has said is, I don't want to grow the TIF yet. We have $27 million in this TIF as part of the financing. 20 of it is for the B side across the river. I'm going to take that money and bring it over to this building the stadium, build it. That leaves a $20 million gap. Actually a $30 million gap in totality. The city of Pawtucket's obligated in either hard or soft costs here, and the diligence on that is important, to provide that money. And the big question is, will the General Assembly backfill that $20 million hole in future sessions, because they're not going to deal with it now. Sorry for the long explanation, but that's what it's about. That's really the decision you guys have got to make. It's a $20 million on the come decision.
Right.
Where are you on this?
Well, I think that we're fact gathering from the developer now. We've asked the developer for certain things. That what does the timeline look for 1B? You know, when will this go? Does he have a development right with the city of Pawtucket? Because if he can't come to the finish line of this, Dan, is it in perpetuity forever that he has this development right? Is it something that you can bring in another group? Because that's really the bigger revenue generator for the city of Pawtucket, because you get more people, you get the shops, you get the lifestyle to augment this beautiful stadium, right, which they value engineered already.
And you have a problem with that?
I have a problem with that.
Value engineering means you cut some costs and try to keep the main thrust of it. You think some of the bells and the whistles need to stay? I
think some of them really need to stay.
Like
the big jumbotron or TV screen that they've
That's out right now?
No, it's not out. They've downsized it. And I mean the visual that you showed of the site, I want to see something that looks like E.T. landed there. I want to be able to see that screen and know that screen's there.
Yeah, Matt, if you can put the picture up again, yeah. I don't know if you have the headline or whatever, but I don't even know if that's in that. But but they've streamlined some things.
And I get the value engineering.
Meaning they've cut costs in order to try to squeeze this deal. You worry that you cut too much, you lose the sizzle of the deal.
You lose the sizzle. We're going to go to a ribbon cutting, and I know the mayor is passionate about it, the governor is passionate about it, the whole board is passionate about it, but we have our hearts that ooze the passion, but we have our brains of the financial responsibility that we have to do.
If you had to make a decision today on a yes or no vote, what would it be?
It would be really hard. I don't want to do that, because it would be I'm on the razor's edge, either side.
All right, when we come back, the leadership of Commerce is actually very important in all of this. There's a lot of change going on in the middle of it. Stay with us. All right, so complicating all of this is that Stefan Praya, the Commerce Secretary, has resigned. He wants to run for treasurer, state treasurer. And just to add a little bit of fun, Matt, there's another headline, throw that up there too. The other candidate for treasurer, Central Falls Mayor James DYSOM, a Blackstone Valley fan, of course, the neighbor of Pawtucket, who certainly supports the stadium, is now filing, complaints against Mr. Pryor for his being a little delayed in getting out. He's a little delayed in getting out of the job. He's out now. This is Thursday. He's out. He was out on Tuesday because of the soccer stadium and some other projects. In other words, there's a lot of turbulence. A new executive director is going to be named. I know who that person is, but it's not public until early next week. I think it's probably a good hire. And then there may be 2 more board members that are put in here that who knows what their disposition will be. So there's a lot of moving
parts. They're going to have to get up to speed quick, because this guy can't, the developer can't keep waiting.
Right.
And the mayor can't keep waiting, and the state can't keep waiting.
Right. Excuse me about this. I mean, it's supposed to be on silent.
What do you have your phone on for? You tell me all the time, shut the phone off.
You know what? You know what? Touche. Logistics, always. And then there's this. Karl wants to make this point. The stadium problem headline, if I can, Matt. This is something that you look at. I mean, there's a lot of writing that goes on, about, whether or not public finance should actually go into these projects. At the same time, Forbes is writing about how there is a soccer stadium boom. We have that headline too. So you've got lots of different voices about the concept of public finance of these kinds of stadium projects, and the owners who are putting the money in say, man, just let us go, because at $35 a ticket, we can sell this place out.
Yeah.
I think this is a Rubik's Cube type of economic decision for all of you guys to make. I don't envy you on it.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We have a great board. I think in the 14 years that I've been on Commerce or EDC, this board is probably the best, most deliberate group of people that I've been with, and have the state as #1 priority. And as Mayor Grabian was talking about, Pawtucket hasn't gotten their share. Most of the money that we've given out at Commerce Corp has been around the Providence area, the capital city. There was one project in South Kingstown that I had a lobby for a hotel with URI graduations and different things that may have gone to the wayside. We can't forget the whole of Rhode Island.
So what you just did here, you just gave me your mental volleyball that you're playing on this whole thing.
Okay, what was my mental
No,
volleyball?
you're arguing for, and then you're arguing, you're worrying about. You're worrying about diligence, but I mean, emotionally, I know you're pretty tied into Pawtucket. You want to see them, you want to see them treated well. Having to worry about the General Assembly acting to backfill this other development part, are you confident that would happen?
I don't know. The General Assembly is a whole new mix of
and the
reps.
governor, who of course supports this plan, has no guarantee of re-election or of election for the first time, because he's an interim governor.
But he's been a mayor before. He understands. If anybody leading this group as our governor really understands the politics and the pieces in a city,
I think he's done a great job trying to bring this to a head, has he not?
Yes. 110%.
All right. Bottom line, I got 10 seconds.
Dan has shown himself in a different light that I've gained a ton more respect for his thoughtfulness on this.
What's the timeline? Drop dead. 5 seconds.
Drop dead was 2 weeks ago. Now drop dead is 2 weeks into the future. It's really soon.
So there you have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final word when we come back. We'll follow more on the soccer stadium this week on WPRO Radio. Have a great week. Bye.